Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
Did Nia Jax just turn heel? I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen, welcome to WrestleRamble. And on last night's episode of Raw, Nia Jax comes out after, I would say, a good month and a half maybe, of being an anti-bullying advocate to bully someone, a jobber, out of nowhere to sort of prove a point to Ronda Rousey, somewhat undoing a lot of work that they've done in recent times. What did you think of this segment?
Why? Why did it? Why? How long has she been a babyface for?
We were trying to figure this out.
I think 2 months, maybe.
So she was, whenever she was aligned with Nia Jax, with Alexa Bliss.
Yes.
She was a heel. It was that moment when they caught Alexa Bliss bitching backstage to Mickie James.
Yes,
That was when everyone fully got on. That was like the full babyface turn. So that was like a month before
Mania.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so she's been a babyface for 10 minutes, and then she's coming out and she's beating up this poor jobber.
Which is annoying, to flip-flop like that. It's very Big Show-esque. But what's even more frustrating is that there's no real reason for it. It's just like this feud dictates that we need a heel to go up against Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Nia, you are now a heel this week.
Yeah, I don't think it was like a heel turn. I just think it's positioning her as the sort of antagonist in this scenario. Because I guess in this story, she challenged Ronda for God knows what reason. She stepped up
because she's a fighting champion.
Yeah, because she's a fighting champion, and then Ronda was like, "Oh no, please! Oh my God! There's so many other people on the roster that could."
Can you do it in the Ronda voice?
I can't remember how does the Ronda voice.
It was just more
seductive.
Also,
my throat is quite sore, but yeah, I'll give it a shot. Oh no, please! Oh no, it's fine.
All right, Nia.
Listen, Nia. There's loads of other people on the roster, and I think they should go first. They should have a shot, and then me. But
it's uncanny.
But if you insist, Nia, I will take you on at the Money in the Bank.
That was excellent.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was like being right next to her.
Yeah.
You just need to have a little mean face.
If you were right next to her, she wouldn't be saying anything. Because she doesn't speak now. That's the other bit that happened in this segment, was that she came out and there was so many bits where the commentators tried to engage her in the conversation, and she just went...
She's too busy underneath. You couldn't see it, but underneath the desk, she's pointing.
Yeah.
She's doing a point at Nia.
Yeah, last week I said she thinks she's an anime character, but I think this week she thinks she's a mime. That's it. She's trying to do it all in...
She did have, in all fairness to Rousey, she did have one very good off-the-cuff moment, and it was when Nia kind of forgot the name of the armbar.
Oh, yes.
And Rousey says on commentary, very quick-wittedly, if she can't remember the name of the armbar, how's she going to remember the counter to the armbar? Which was like, oh, that actually tied into the match you're eventually going to have. But yeah, the rest of it, because it was WWE
that down on
scripted,
her arm, though. That was why she was like... She'd run out of space, and that's why she had nothing else to say.
On the inside of the point, on the index finger. But yeah, so this segment, just to give a recap of it, Nia Jax comes out, and then halfway through her entrance music, then Rousey's music hits because she's going to be on commentary, and Nia Jax is just going to squash this jobber, but she does it with the microphone. She's like, this is what happens if you try and put an armbar on me, Rousey. And she kind of powers up out and slams this jobber down.
I thought that was quite cool. She had her up for a fair while as well there.
It looked great, yeah. And then she said, and she was smiling, it's a really good heel. It was a real good heel performance, but not a full turn, I suppose. And then she said, oh, and I'm going to do this when you're down on the ground. And she hit this crazy flipping running senton thing. It landed completely on this poor jobber's chest.
Yeah. Who is? She's dead now.
Yeah, poor thing. And then she invites Rousey down here to help out the wrestler, who just disappeared. Yeah. Presumably to the same place Renee Young went to. No, I don't feel so good.
No, I don't feel so... And, it wasn't quite as sort of serene as in Infinity War. I think as Nia hit her, she just... imploded.
Kind of like the old Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you stake a vampire.
Oh, yeah. Saw her skeleton for a brief moment, and then it was gone.
A flash. And then Rousey comes down, and they just kind of look at each other. Rousey does the mean face, looking mean, and then Nia just laughs in it and walks off. Said, "Oh, that's the big, mean, intimidating face that I'm meant to be afraid of," which was cool. But it's like after this segment was done, I wasn't any more. I was less excited about the eventual match.
Yeah, it could have just been. They could have just booked it like it was a main event sort of showstopper. They could have just done it like this is a once in a lifetime, or they could have done the sort of Samoa Joe Brock kind of thing without really doing it too heelish.
With like the pull apart brawls, you mean?
Yeah, and I think it just having it be like let's just do this as a big money match rather than it doesn't have to be Nia's called her out. Isn't she bad for doing that? Like I think a champion who calls someone out and says I'm going to defend my title, that's a good champion.
Yes.
Not someone who then gets all why is she suddenly gloating about it? Like I liked the gloating. I liked the sort of like come on honey get up. Like I loved all that stuff. It was good, but there's absolutely no need for it. I think
just come out of nowhere. Yeah,
it would have been a completely fine match.
The Nia stuff. I guess the only reason I can come up with is that in last week's segment, which was the contract signing with Stephanie McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon was playing them off against each other, and she said to Nia, "Oh, Ronda thinks you're lazy." These ways of just saying you're overweight without saying you're overweight. But Stephanie's words, not as snowflakes. That could have possibly got. I guess that could be their reasoning, but it's not enough. Like
it's
for a
enough.
viewer to cling on to.
Unless they like next week, Ronda comes out and she's being the heel, and Nia's being the babyface in their interaction. So maybe they're just gonna, I don't know, wind each other up because beat up jobbers, but wind each other up every week.
That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Like Ronda comes out.
If it's the same jobber as well. So this poor girl is just getting obliterated every week.
Yeah, I've
next week she's got a broken arm. She's got caved-in ribs from this week.
Cause when was the last wrestler you really got behind whose main character was just I'm a really good person? Like you look back at Stone Cold and The Rock, and I know that was the Attitude Era. It was a different time. But they're all badasses. Stone Cold would routinely stun a nice people, and it was awesome.
But I guess that was an accident with Stone Cold almost, though, wasn't it? That he started coming out in what they thought was a heel sort of persona, and then he got so overdoing it that he was like, "Oh, I'm accidentally a babyface now." So, and the same with The Rock. Like his transition back and forth between heel and babyface was almost so. I don't know. It just kind of happened on you, and you weren't like it wasn't too much like. He's doing this. He's doing this. He's doing this. He just was kind of the same character a lot.
So
I mean, like the good guy sort of thing. We're going to talk about later, but it would be Lashley, is what they're currently trying to do, and it's going great. It's going well.
Well, should we get on with the whole show?
Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
Just because we forgot to mention it in the Ronda Rousey bit just now. Confused face at the end. What did you make of Rousey's confused face?
Like all of our other faces,
pretty similar.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, it's like it still works. It's kind of Blue Steel-esque. There's not much difference I can tell between Blue Steel and is it Magnum, the one he debuts at the end.
They're so different.
Yeah, to a trained, cultured eye like yours, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah.
But to a fashion philistine like myself, I can't. They look like just Ben Stiller pouting.
Yeah, wow.
So, but I think it's the same with Rousey. Although there's no discernible difference between the confused face and the aggressive, confronting face, it still gets over the right emotion.
I feel like she needs to do sort of like the cards they do for autistic people, but for everyone. She just needs to hold up what she thinks she's conveying. Or like the Elcor in Mass Effect that say before they do something, this is a sarcastic reply.
Right.
Sarcastic reply.
I'm glad you explained that. I wouldn't have got that reference. Although I did once play Mass Effect.
Did you?
Yeah, I think I had sex with something and then I stopped. I was done. It's weird how you lose interest in things, isn't it, after that moment of climax.
Well, it's once we realised the game didn't let you have a cigarette, and that was the end of it.
So, the show kicked off properly with Braun Strowman coming out, and he declared himself, which, when Braun said it, sounded really awesome. But when I read it back and say it myself, sounds like a Mr. Men book.
Yeah.
Mr. Monster in the Bank.
Mr. Monster in the Bank. It's because there used to be the toys, didn't there? Monsters in my pocket. And that's all I can think of. It's like, there's a monster in the bank.
He said it intimidating. I say it, oh, it's little Mr. Monster in the Bank.
In a dark, dark house, down a dark, dark stairs. There's a bank vault in that bank, Mr. Monster.
We are, just that's the opening jingle of another YouTube channel's show.
Oh, is it?
Yes, for another wrestling YouTube channel show. They've got sort of a Room 101 thing.
Well.
Just because people are going to point that out, what is that a play on originally?
It's the Funny Bones, isn't it?
Oh, yes. So
which is what I was doing, the original content.
Just in case people kick off in the comments and shout crossover and invasion and other things. So Braun,
where would you get invasion from as well? Like that's
people.
That would be so stupid.
This is our job to see like Rey Mysterio hints about a Latino New World Order. So it's going to be a WWE invasion, quite obviously.
There'll be no invasion.
So
not on WrestleTalk.
Braun says that he's going to get these the briefcase is going to get these hands, and he's going to become the Money in the Bank man, the Mr. Money in the Bank man monster.
Mr. Monster Man money thing.
Mr. Bank Monster. He's going to eat all the money.
Oh, yeah,
like the terrorize the tellers. And he says he's going to cash it in on Brock Lesnar.
Class.
And I saw a funny meme of Brock Lesnar's strategy after Money in the Bank. Can't cash it in if I'm not there.
Yeah, that's very smart.
Yeah.
Although, can you? Maybe you could.
What, like the old hardcore championship?
Yeah, like 24/7 thing. You have to like call them up. He said, Braun comes down to the ring. He's like, "I'm cashing in," and then they're calling Brock, and he's like, "No, I'm not coming." They're like, "You're gonna have to, man." Like, it's like, "No, I'm not coming down."
And that's
he's
when
like,
Braun
will get on a flight, and he's
Braun
flying out.
Yeah, he commandeers like a horse or something, and he rides the horse.
He wouldn't fit a horse.
What else could he ride? A rhino.
Yes.
So he rides a rhino to Brock Lesnar's
He's riding
house.
a giraffe around.
Yeah, something Jumanji-esque with a load of other wild animals towards Brock Lesnar's
if it's
compound.
Jumanji-esque, the rhino is riding Braun. He's just carrying the rhino.
He lobs
and he
that
lawn
at Brock.
darts it at Brock. Mm-hmm. And that's how he wins the championship.
Nice. So yes, that's
my prediction.
Great fantasy booking piece. But then Finn Balor comes out, and because this is playing off the really quite good main event of last week's show, which was Balor and Braun, and that show of respect at the end. But here, as soon as Balor got in the ring, Braun kind of undid that somewhat by saying, "You put up a good fight for a small guy."
Yep.
Which was, I thought you could do without.
Yeah, but I guess they wanted to quickly. How quickly can we get into this match that we need to have right now?
Well, not quickly enough where Kurt Angle could forego the usual
yes,
full entrance.
I thought that as well. I was like, yeah, he's like, they're literally brawling, and he's coming out to stop it, but he's like, first of all, he's going to do a bit of that, like, you suck.
He's got to get his S word in.
He's
got to get his suck in.
What he sucks at is managing. he's a terrible manager.
He's not good at his job, is he?
No, he's bad. Like he's a fine wrestler. He's god awful at keeping his brand under control.
And he's always on his phone.
He is, yeah.
So, that's what always worries me. A man who is that distracted by other people's calls.
Yeah, he's just going through the grams.
Like post-inspirational thing. Live stream, Facebook Q&A. That's what he loves to do. He's probably on his app. He's got that addiction app.
Does he?
Yeah, well. So Finn slaps Braun, and that's what starts off. What a ill-advised thing to do to Braun Strowman. I really like that from Finn, but I didn't like the immediate smile of Finn afterwards.
No, they keep doing that. Finn keeps doing that. He keeps doing things that are like slight. So he did that after the Seth Rollins thing, where he did the inverted DDT out of nowhere at the end of a match, and then he just stood in the middle of the ring, grinning like an idiot.
I think WWE and Finn thinks it's funny. But based on like the whole over thing and the forever push that he kept on doing over like the Christmas months, I feel like it's kind of a trolling our kind of fan base thing.
Yeah, but I would prefer to just make him a heel. Like I'd love to see him as a heel,
or just a cool baby face who doesn't have to smile all the time. It's the same thing with Ronda, same thing with Bobby. What is it with WWE and this really two-dimensional smiley baby face at the moment?
This is why we need the cards.
That's why we need the what?
The little cards.
Yes.
So you can convey what emotion you're trying to convey.
That'd be really sad if Finn is beaming with a smile and he just... sadness.
I feel like that is what's happening. Every time he comes out and goes, do you remember when I was the Universal Champion all that time ago and I had to give it back?
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, you were, mate. I'm even past the point of being angry that you never got your rematch. So Kurt Angle, after the prolonged floppy wrist thing, made the match of Finn Balor and Braun Strowman, which Kevin Owens came out for commentary, who did a gimmick where every so often he would get a microphone and shout words of encouragement and advice to either Finn or Braun, which was fine.
Yeah, I didn't really. It was, but he always sort of did it at the wrong point. It was, and it didn't make sense because he was encouraging them. Every time they got the upper hand, he was going, man, carry on, crack on doing this. But they stopped to listen to him.
Yeah.
So he was like, come on, do it, you can do it. And it's like, he was doing it.
Yeah.
He didn't need to do this.
Mind games. He's putting them off. He's a heel.
I don't think so.
It didn't quite click, yeah.
He should have been encouraging the guy on the floor, I think, and then putting off the person on top, and then switched it over.
But this turned into, just like the previous week, I thought this turned into a really good match when Finn started to get the upper hand on Braun.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty bland in the beginning, because they did that spot, and they did it straight off the bat, where Braun threw Finn clean across the rim. Across the rim.
Oh
my goodness. But yeah, so he chucked him across the ring.
He got some airtime.
Yeah, he got
that.
some serious airtime, but he just did his little sling blade sort of spin in the air. And then they did that like 3 more times in the sort of Braun's beating him down moment, I guess. And then, it took too long for Finn to sort of mount the comeback, and by that point you were just sort of like, I'm not really into this. I was a bit flat by that point.
Well, I quite enjoyed it. I mean, like, maybe if this happened in hour 2 or 3, I would have been fatigued and like, come on, just get on with it. But this was the first match. I was okay with it. And then we got the great bit where Braun like does his rounding up the support, and then he runs round the ring. This spot is so over now.
Yeah.
And he shoulder charges into Finn, which sends him flying over the barricade. Looked great.
They should have done the same spot from last week, where Braun sends him over the barricade, and then Braun is leaning against the barricade, and then Balor pops up, but you can't see him.
Yes, that would have been good. The camera has to kind of
tip over, and you just.
So yes, eventually Finn hits a coup de grace, and in another nice reference to and WWE have gotten really good at this recently, or at least a few guys have, and that's in these week back-to-back matches. They'll find a way to play off and riff off previous spots. It's like with all the Seth Rollins and Balor stuff before, and now with Finn and Braun here. It's really nice. Rewards long-time viewing. So Finn gets up to hit a second coup de grace, just like Braun had to use 2 power slams to put Finn away as like a show of respect last week. But then that's when Owens attacks them both with a ladder and causes the DQ. So I guess Finn won. But it's good that this was a really smartly booked finish. Finn looks good because he nearly had
won.
the win, and Braun is protected. I thought this was good.
I was watching that. I was like, you can't have it. The sort of, I guess, their 50-50 booking dictates that you would have Finn win this one, but
Braun is too big.
Yeah, it just, and also because all the commentary at the moment is, Mr. Monster in the Bank, who's going to happen? Who's the number one? He's the big guy. He's going to win.
Which commentators that?
These are all of them. These are what you can't hear. It's like the Yanni Laurel thing. It's actually all 3 voices happening at once, so it sounds like this.
Yeah, when you merge them all in, like that face, the face merge thing. Yeah, but with voices. So Owens uses the ladder and he attacks Braun with it, and Braun's like, "No, mate," and he throws Owens out the ring, and then he would launch a rhino, he launches this ladder. It goes halfway up the ramp.
Yeah, I was shocked that they let that happen, because I was like, what if he just does that slightly wrong? Because he's just going to clobber some fans.
Because it wasn't like he threw it like a javelin. No. He threw it so it was widthways across him, and the ramp is only, I guess, 2 feet wider either side of the ladder. There's not much margin for error.
No.
So that could have hit a ringside fan. Do you remember when Brock Lesnar started ripping off the door of a car, and he threw the car door into the audience and it hit a fan? Yeah. It could be a bit like that. But yeah, you're right. I was
genuinely, because that was such a cool moment though. Then like Owens did really well to sort of still just be rolling out of the way. It wasn't like he got up and he'd run off to a safe distance. He was literally just out of the way.
And then Owens tries to leave the arena afterwards, really selling the fear.
With his little bag.
Yeah, his little wheelie.
Yeah.
And Kurt says, you've got a match against Bobby Roode later, so...
You have to stay.
He
was looking for the valet, though, to get the keys to his car, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah. But then they had a little man in a valet costume, which I don't know if that... maybe that's a thing in, like, arenas, backstage at arenas in America, but I feel like it wouldn't be.
Maybe Owens paid.
If anyone knows, can you let me know? Because I just wonder if they've got a little valet costume they keep just in case they're doing a bit where someone needs their car.
This was your big standout question.
I would just keep my own car keys. I think
in the bag.
I'd keep it in my little bag, or down my trunks.
In the match, if you fall on that the wrong way.
Because then you could spend a bit of time pushing in between your fingers, and then you've got sort of like makeshift knucks.
Yes. Well, like a little jab with a key inside.
Yeah.
So next up, we had a Sasha Banks promo. And she just said she's going to win Money in the Bank. We got a few of these to build up the Gauntlet match, which was the main event of the show.
Yes. If Sasha wins Miss Money in the Bank, does she
Monster
become
in the Bank.
Miss Sasha Money in the Banks?
I don't know why it took me so long to realise this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Banks' last name is Banks.
Yeah, but that's what she was, and that's what she was saying, wasn't it? Because that was the thing that was referenced by Bayley later, was that Sasha had said her name's already on the contract. It is, and then Bayley was like, "But it's my name on the contract." It's like, no, Sasha's is literally on the. It's half her name is written there.
That was such a really bad retort. Like so Banks has this promo now in the show, and Bayley has this promo near the end of the show. She's had 2 hours to think about a retort. She goes, "No, my name is on the contract.
It me, guys.
Yeah."
It me.
So Elias comes out next, and he's just incredible. He is my favourite thing in WWE. That's a lie. He's my favourite thing on Raw right now.
Yeah. So what's your favourite thing on SmackDown?
Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan, which is happening tonight. But he's just everything from the way he composes himself. He can masterfully work the crowd. When it comes to actual wrestling, it kind of falls apart. But this performing part of his character, God, he's like one of the best at executing character in WWE.
I'm so surprised they didn't find this out in NXT. Like, it was so weird that they never clocked onto this bit of, like, the fact that because in NXT they sold him as a badass drifter who came in and squashed people, and he doesn't look squashy. He's not. Yeah.
And the drifter was more of a part of his character, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Remember when he first debuted on the main roster?
And he would just come in like every so.
Yeah.
And then they realised he could talk, and then now they don't have to have him actually do a match, which is great.
And because when was the last time? Like 2 weeks ago, actually. But most of the time, Elias just tries
to do a performance.
Yeah, and then attacks someone.
And then gets cross because no one lets him. That section was really good, though. He didn't even sing this week as well. Like he just sort of juiced every single bit that you could get out of the just interacting with the crowd. Because also the crowd really got turned against him in this one. Like normally they kind of they want him to sing, they want him to perform, and they get into it. And this week they're actually going, "Leave, get out! Like you've insulted us too much. Leave."
Well, it's just so petty as well. Because he said, "Can the lights be made darker? Bring the spotlight more on me because the people in Virginia are very ugly and disgusting looking." And that was like the Virginia was like, "Boo, no!" And then he's can you all shut up as well? So all that stuff. And I thought, because then it goes to commercial. I thought, please come back, and he's still there. Yeah. And it came back, and he's still there. So he's been ragging on the crowd for at least 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, but also, but it's a hard line to play as well, because if the plan is that you don't sing, but you need to fill the time in the commercial break for like 3 minutes, but he can't really get the song going because that's the point.
Yeah,
making that sort of last that time is impressive.
Very impressive. And then it kind of whips the crowd into a frenzy for when the babyface eventually does come out. And in this case, I've called him Red Rollins.
Red Rollins.
He was
it was his birthday, wasn't it? So
yes.
He was wearing his Power Rangers costume, is what I thought, his little Red Ranger costume. He's dressed as Jason.
He comes out and he throws Elias's stool out the ring, but not as far as the ladder in the previous
it's just
segment.
Impossible.
And Elias leaves, foreshadowing for after the match. And then he has a really good match against Jinder Mahal, of all people.
I know, that was the best match on the show, I thought.
Do you think?
I genuinely
what,
thought
actually?
that. I genuinely thought that was the best match on the show.
I would have to agree with you. Yeah, in fact, it's not even close, really, is it?
No.
Because the McIntyre-Gable match was too short.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Balor-Strowman match was half
really good and half sort of, yeah.
And the Gauntlet match was blur.
Yeah.
And then it's only really this as an actual match. But yeah, it was good. It was always engaging, but I really, really got into it when Jinder got the chair. And all the heel stuff started to come out. Sunil Singh was ejected from ringside. And that's when Jinder used the chair on Seth's already worked over stomach. And that was a really good near fall. I actually bought into that near fall.
Yeah.
That Jinder might win the IC title to defend against Roman.
I
at
did
Money
actually.
in the Bank.
I really did, yeah.
But this was really good. And Rollins sort of drags Sunil back in and he buckle bombs him onto Jinder. Yeah. That was a great spot, which he doesn't really do anymore. The buckle bomb after Finn's injury.
Yeah, I think everyone's.
And
But I'm sure it would be fine in the turnbuckle. The buckle bomb onto the
barricade.
The barricade one. That was he threw him from far too far away. I think, and Finn didn't backsplat on it properly. Did he? He landed like that. Yeah.
But this was a really good match, I thought, and with a smart finish, because just like in the Braun Strowman Balor match, you don't really want to beat either guy.
Yeah.
So it totally made sense for Seth to just have enough of all of Jinder's cheating.
Yeah, too much shenanigans.
Get the chair himself, especially because Jinder attacked him and Roman with the chair the previous week. And he just takes out Jinder for the DQ. Technically, Jinder won, but neither man looks weaker for it.
No.
And then Seth chases him up the ramp and celebrates on the commentary table, and that's when we get the return
of Elias.
And he clobbers. What is that guitar made of? Powder.
Yeah, it's made of Renee Young.
I don't feel so good, Elias. And Seth sells this by lawn darting himself into the ground off the commentary desk, which is already raised off of the
and he just chucks himself down into that little the bit where they just keep all the wires.
Yeah,
they always
unforgiving wires.
They've always just keep the wires there.
The technical area.
Yeah, but
what's it full
there's
of?
no staff there.
Technical.
There's no staff. It's an unstaffed technical area just full of cables.
Trip hazards.
Yeah. This is where the trip hazards live. Yeah, and it's all taped down. But
this brings out just like he gets the full stretcher job treatment.
Yeah,
it's played up like it's a big deal. So I mean, a Seth Rollins versus Elias feud is by no means unappealing.
No, I would like that.
Yeah, and especially with Seth being such a good wrestler at the moment. Really, he's so hot right now.
He is so hot right now.
And Elias, that's the bit where he falls down on.
Yeah.
So an Elias versus Seth match could actually work wonders for Elias and getting him over as a threat inside the ring. Rollins could carry him to it.
Yeah.
Plus, like the only problem here.
Because then you just get more Elias.
Yes, yeah, definitely with Seth.
Yeah,
and so it's a fresh matchup. But when Seth started the whole Intercontinental title open challenge, I was hoping for more, like your Mojo Rawleys, your Chad Gables, but we've had Jinder Mahal, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, it's been quite big so far.
And pre-announced stuff as well.
Yeah, it's weird that it so quickly went from an open challenge to just him going, "Oh no, you've annoyed me this week, so it's you. Next week it's you because you've." It's basically just people who've pissed him off that week, and he's just like, "Yep, you," and then you.
So. Did you know, interesting fact, you're an NXT fan, so I think you know this. When have Jinder and Seth previously faced?
They faced on NXT, did they?
Not just, this is a historic match.
Yeah.
In 2002, 2012, it's not that far back, developmental.
I feel like Seth would have still been in school.
Tyler Black, yeah. So Seth Rollins versus Jinder Mahal for the first ever NXT championship.
There you go.
And here they are, 6 years later.
I was thinking about this earlier because we see talking about taking Jinder back to his roots. We've got Jinder here, Drew's back, and he's Judi Dench too. Let's just really massive. Really he's like really Dench, Judy. Right. Let's get Heath Slater on some male growth hormones or cod liver oil or whatever.
Yes.
And let's get 3-man band back together, but as just really jacked dudes.
It's almost like when you have a rather innocent cartoon series from the 80s, and then someone remakes that these days as a super dark, muscled-up Rob Liefeld drawing.
I feel like that's the reverse of what's happening, though, as the Thundercats thing from last week has proved, which was muscle cats to kitty cats.
Kitty cats. Little kitty cats.
Little tiny little kitty cats.
I was never attached to the Thundercats thing, never really watched it. I think it looks like a fun little endeavour.
To be honest, I think if you're writing about it on the internet, you're not the target audience, because the people who are meant to be watching it don't really have access to phones.
Yeah, fair enough. So then we got the Nia Jax versus Babyface continuity segment, which we've already talked about. And then we got
Nia Jax versus her own continuity.
Yeah. what a sort of not metaphysical.
Yeah, metaphysical.
Attack.
Yeah, it would be
existential.
Yeah, it'd have to be like a sort of that bit in Doctor Strange where he just goes off in his own head and it's all trippy. I'm sure WWE would be able to film that beautifully as well as the House of Horrors show. They're really good for an imaginative segment.
They can take a concept and execute that visually.
Yeah, they can really run with stuff. All those promos of Bray Wyatt stood in a cupboard with just one uplight.
Speaking of visually inventive promos, Dana Brooke had a blackboard behind her, or a green board.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing? That seems to be an American thing. We have blackboards over here with chalk. But this was green with chalk.
I've had green boards at school.
Okay, fair enough.
Just cheaper.
And she
get it in the rougher parts of the UK.
So
I just forgot where I'm from again.
This was very science-based. I thought you might enjoy it.
I did enjoy it. The thing I didn't enjoy about Dana Brooke's promo was that when she was pointing to the three things that she was referencing, that's not what she was pointing to. She was pointing to... Basically, she'd beautiful-minded all over this whiteboard to come
That's
up with...
That's a verb, is it?
Yes.
Beautiful-minded.
She beautiful-minded it. And she'd written this formula out, and she was using this formula to realise why she was going to win the Gauntlet match. Probably like leverage or something, I don't know, like pins, the actual fulcrum of the pin, the pressure, that kind of stuff. But she said there were three things that you needed to have, and then just pointed to random points on the board that didn't correspond to even where writing was. She pointed at two blank spots and thing, and then she was like, and that is why I'm going to win the Gauntlet match.
It's almost like she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yes, it's almost like she's an absolute codswallop.
That's better. That's a nicer word of saying
codswallop.
it. Yes. So what I don't get is this is, it's a nothing promo. No one's ever going to remember this. So why not just make it really fun and pop the people who already know about the Scott Steiner promo and do a full-on 33 1/3% chance of winning? It's just a very strange thing to. I don't know why everyone was playing it so seriously in their promos as well. Like, also, why were the Riot Squad to LA? But why were they just tearing? Whose stuff was that? I like.
But
that,
whose stuff
actually.
was it?
Just the locker room. Yeah, they were all out in
just
catering, maybe
being louts,
searching for their valets.
Yeah,
maybe.
that's it.
So the deleter of worlds, which is really hard for me to say. I don't know why. Beat the Ascension next.
I don't understand. Matt Hardy, he's not a very good actual wrestler anymore, but he's
I'm gonna get some heat.
I'm gonna get some heat, but he's not really. He's quite like formulaic. He does the same sort of like he's a 5 moves of doom kind of guy. However, the really good thing about Matt Hardy is his promo stuff as this character. And also all the silly bits he does in the ring. I think all the
audience participation.
All the audience participation, like getting people to chant along, doing the wonderful and getting the claps and stuff. There was none of that in this match. There wasn't a single thing in this match that was like, these characters they weren't even playing their characters. They were just going out and sort of doing their moves. It was so by the books.
Bray did his weird crab walk thing.
Oh, he did do his crab walk, yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. This was a really just... And it went on for... I mean, it probably only went on for 5 minutes, but it felt like it went on forever.
It felt long.
Because the Ascension got... Like, if you're going to give the Ascension 40 to 50% of the match, but not do anything with them afterwards, then why not just have the Deleters of Worlds squash them?
Yeah. I would like the Ascension to get... I would like to see the Ascension in a stable with with Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, that could work, and it's probably the only thing that can.
I would like to see them,
give them credibility.
be sort of. But then obviously you'd have to sort of. I think you'd probably do them as sort of enforcers, and then you would make Matt heel. But
so this was really the start of when Raw. I mean, it never got good again for me.
No.
This was I quite enjoyed all the stuff we've already talked about, but from this point onwards, it was an hour and a half of.
I enjoyed some of the
really
results of things.
Yes,
in the sense that it sets up some stuff, but I didn't really enjoy much of the thing
on paper.
Yeah, I love
retrospectively.
Do you know what? As a much shorter review, it's really good. If you just read what happened, brilliant.
Yeah. When you just read the results, or just look at the little GIFs on Twitter.
Yeah, that's
Not the YouTube clips. That's too much. But a few spots on Twitter that they.
I'm surprised they managed to find 2 minutes worth of YouTube clips.
So after the tag team stuff with the deleters of worlds,
and the kiss of deletion.
Yes, that's the name now.
Absolutely. I just despise that move. I really despise it. I just think it's awful.
We got the B team in, I would say, a good, funny backstage segment with Kurt Angle. They come into Kurt's office, whatever it is, and they say they want a title shot.
Kurt's corridor.
Yeah. They say they want a title shot, and they're like, well, you can't just have a title shot. You've beat the same team twice, sure, but there's other teams in the tag division. So Bo Dallas mishears that as, we need to win over the tag division. We're going to put on a barbecue for them.
Yeah.
And Kurt's very funnily saying, no, I never said that. And Curtis Axel saying, yeah, that's a really good idea. We can do all this stuff. No, it's a terrible idea. So I thought all that was well performed.
Yes, I enjoyed that. It's a shame that it set up something that we had to then sit through.
Yes.
That's the problem, is that it went too far, because they actually executed it.
Yes. Because WWE have a pretty strong run as of late with terrible in-ring segments.
No.
Yes. Then we got that Riot Squad promo that you mentioned. So Ruby is holding the phone, and Liv and Sarah are tearing up people's shirts in a locker room.
Yeah.
I thought it was different.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
It
nice.
showed, it got over their characters of how they are a bit rioty.
Yeah,
they're
a bit
rioty.
They're a bit rioty. Yeah. Next week we'll see them coming out with like TVs they've nicked.
Yeah,
they should have been watching.
Gas.
They should be watching a match. We should cut to someone backstage watching the match, being like, oh, they're facing them next week. This isn't, Natalia watching Ronda Rousey in the ring or whatever, and then they just come in and they lift the telly out. That sort of stuff. That's what I want to see. More actual rioting from the Riot Squad, or just more anarchy. Like I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
They're very. And we'll get to this later with the match. I don't. Are they heels? Are they anarchists? Are they like? Do they actually beat people down? I don't know. They seem to sort of flip flop between being just normal wrestlers or people who get squashed, and then they're like, oh, we've actually got some character and we do some stuff.
Yeah, they're very much utility players where they just are slotted into whatever other storyline WWE have going on to set up another storyline. So yeah, I thought I enjoyed this. It's just, yeah, I agree with you. It's a shame.
It was a fun. The other thing about this promo
rubbish.
that I thought was the other thing I thought about this promo that was silly is like, obviously they all took a turn talking to the camera, and then at the end they all tried to be in the shot, but it worked like an actual selfie because it was Liv Morgan just kept getting cut out by Sarah Logan's head. She had to be like, yeah, I'm here, still here.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it all. I liked the kind of pose at the end. It looked super stagey, but it was a nice kind of stagey. So then we got Bobby Roode versus Kevin Owens. This was just, by this point in the show, I was out.
Yeah, it was a match that happened.
And this is Bobby Roode versus Kevin Owens.
It should have been a bigger deal.
And it was just a match. It was just a headlock, rest hold match.
Just running the clock.
So Owens won with a roll-up, and then it was all really to set up Braun coming in to chase Kevin Owens for what he did in the opening match. He chases Owens around the ring and then power slams, and then Bobby is kind of really over-exuberantly celebrating, and you're like, well, Braun's going to slam you too now.
Yeah.
And that's what
happened.
happened.
It's like you haven't even watched this show, Bobby.
But yeah, Bobby Roode is just... He's one of those other acts, like the Ascension, like the Riot Squad.
It's a shame. But see,
on a treadmill
they
going
just sort
backwards.
of well, yeah. At least Rude has one thing going for him. He's got a really great entrance, and WWE does like to do that. So,
But that isn't
Yeah,
even
no.
really over anymore.
no,
It's a shame. So then, speaking of not over,
maybe he should do an extra spin.
that would hurt. That would help.
If he spins one more time, and people will be like, freshness.
So yeah, speaking of not over, we had Sami Zayn coming out next to apologise for the Bobby Lashley's family segment from the previous week.
It just makes me cross.
Yes.
I just don't want to talk about it. It just makes me really...
I don't want to bleep
it just,
anything again.
just makes me blooming upset.
And he revealed they weren't actually Bobby's sisters; they were men.
Shock horror!
But that was like, I found that funny.
Yeah.
That they had to, that was a good line, and I always enjoy how Sami gets the glasses out to read stuff. But everything else was just tedium.
He just looks like a man whose dreams had been crushed. And I feel like it's even more galling that the writers in the back had him say thank you to the management for letting him come out to apologise for a segment you would assume the management put him in. I just it just feels dirty to me. I don't know, like I feel it's just horror. Like he knew it was a bad segment last week that he had to do, and now he's got to come out and do another one, and then also say thank you so much, WWE management, for letting me come out here and apologise to all these people for the thing you made me do.
It's weird how they tied in that the online reaction to it was so negative. And he even said, some people have said this was cringeworthy, that it was awful. And you're like, yeah, but we were like saying the whole set, not your agenda. We were saying the whole thing was awful.
Yeah, the fact that
we weren't kayfabing you, Sammy. We weren't like genuinely buying in that this was an actual Bobby Sisters thing.
No, and then he said it was like a work of art, and that some people didn't appreciate artists in their time, but people would look back fondly on the segment.
I don't think so. But then Bobby comes out, and the crowd is dead. Like, no one's into this because no one cares about this feud because it's an awful feud. And he says that Bobby starts off with a Memorial Day salute because he has that army family history.
And because he's clearly not in the feud either.
Yeah, you said this off camera.
Yeah,
you were
said it just seems stupid that he comes out and he's like, sorry, I've just got some admin to do first, Sammy, so I'm just going to salute. I've got a little spiel that I need to say about armies, and then he does a little salute, which, it's Memorial Day, you would do. Just have Lashley come out first and do that, and have Sammy come out and interrupt him.
That would have been much better.
Do it any other way around. But why is he coming out and no selling the fact that like this feud happens? Because then also after this happens, Lashley offers the matchup to Sami. So he's clearly cross enough that he wants to beat him up.
Yeah.
But he's not cross enough that he's not going to do the bits that he needs to do. Because he also spends a good minute or two in his entrance high-fiving all the fans, saying hi to the kids, saying hi to the kids, smiling and waving, and then he's like, oh.
You are definitely right. I mean, I don't know if WWE would have done it because they're very sensitive about how they portray the army. But if Bobby Lashley was doing this genuine Memorial Day thing, and then Sami Zayn comes out and says, "Yep, that's really important, but I need to read this apology."
Yeah,
that's going to get him that's going to get Sami genuine heat.
Well, also
the crowd,
maybe because you could also just be like, he has to read the apology, but he has to do it like the stipulation could just be he has to apologise in front of Lashley.
Set many different ways. Multiple
Renee
different
Young
ways to do it
could
better.
or could not be there. Your choice, dealer's choice.
She comes back.
I hope she does. Maybe she'll just do the sort of reverse, and this dust will appear.
Like, why did Charlie Caruso not get that
around?
sign?
Yeah.
Bobby offers him the match, and then Sami shakes his hand, and Sami's like, "I'm gonna haluva kick that smile off your face," because Bobby Lashley is another smiling baby face that has no real character. And Bobby then, there was a moment of awesomeness. Like, if this was a better booked feud, this would have been a cool moment, but because we're already out of it, it wasn't. But Bobby's face, the smile disappeared.
He puts his teeth away.
Yes, and it just puts them in his pocket.
Yeah.
And he starts to crush Sami's hand. Sami sells it, and then Bobby starts smiling again. I was kind of hoping he would, that was Bobby losing his smile.
Yeah.
But no, it looks like we're sticking with that. But it's just, your point
Again,
about
the emotion cards.
it feels like Sami Zayn is having this feud and trying to do as much as he can.
Yeah.
But Bobby, and I guess that's kind of the
Bobby
story.
is
Bobby
no
Lashley's
selling
above
him.
it.
Yeah, but Bobby's no selling him on all this stuff, and it just doesn't. I mean, if he was so disinterested last week in it that they could have just not done this again and not had the match, and I don't think anyone would have minded at all, rather than have to watch Sami Zayn come out every week and try really hard to do something really bad, and then just have this smiling dude come out and just be like, well, this is silly for you, isn't it? And it is. I just think it's patronising. I just feel like Bobby coming out every week and smiling at him and being like, "Oh, Sammy, how twee of you!" And it's like, you know, he doesn't want to say this.
And how can we care if Bobby doesn't care?
Yeah, exactly. If he doesn't,
he's meant to be the guy we're on the side of.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that I think it should have escalated. It needs to escalate quicker, and Zayn needs to be attacking Lashley,
or at least a real member of his family.
His actual sisters.
Yeah.
Okay.
All three of them.
That's it. Zayn kidnaps Lashley's sisters and then actually replaces them with the three dudes from last week.
Yeah. It's better. It's better than what we're currently
Kidnap
getting.
stories are really hot right now.
So Mickie James had a promo after this. I think that was the best one of the bunch. She's a great promo.
Yeah. I did think she was
hometown gal.
Yeah, hometown gal. She was also dressed as Wonder Woman, which made me think, what happens if Sasha Banks also comes out as Wonder Woman?
Well, they're different versions of Wonder Woman. It looks like
there should be there could have been like a no you change moment,
or like they both try and pull each other's headband thingy off.
That would have been nice.
Then we
would have been something that match didn't have, which was anything
drama.
Anything.
Drew McIntyre beat Chad Gable next, and I've got a theory. When I was watching this unfold, I thought, I know what they're building to, and then I read around and listened to other reviews. Everyone else has had the same idea.
Jordan.
So, okay. So I'm not that special or unique. But yes, so Chad Gable has now been beaten by Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. It's almost like he needs to get a tag partner, right? That would be like looking at Raw's tag division, as we'll come on to in the next segment. You've got no one and two single stars as the champions.
Yes.
But if you reunite American Alpha, you've got them, who are a very good tag team and never got the chance they deserved when they were a thing, and Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
And then at least you've kind of got three big-time tag teams there.
Yeah, all three of those teams would make a great sort of top level of the card.
And do you know who else we've got on Raw that have just disappeared recently? Authors of Pain.
Oh, yeah. I read that one of the rumours going around is that if there's ever a Roman Reigns heel turn, that it's going to be in a faction with those guys.
That'd be amazing.
I think that rumour has just come out of the fact that they all dress the same.
Probably.
And so they're just already in it. They're just in a gang.
Mm.
I mean, it was a nothing match, but
this I thought this was a pretty decent match for the time they were given.
Yeah, it was kind of inconsequential, but I enjoyed. I like the fact that Drew's so big that when he just his moves, a lot of them are just you go over there now. No, now you go over there. I'm going to pick you up and put you down, and there's not a lot you can do about it. Now they're over there, but then Gable sold the hell out of everything as well. He's brilliant.
He's really, really good. There was an amazing bit where Drew McIntyre had Chad in what's that called when you hold them like that across your body,
like a cradle.
Yeah,
a baby.
And he just threw him up into a suplex.
Yes. Oh yeah, that was wicked.
And there was another bit on the outside. We just threw him into the ring post. It was all good stuff.
You go there now.
But it was quite a comfortable win from McIntyre. I think Jordan and Gable getting back together under Kurt Angle's tutelage would be a nice way to ignore the whole Jordan Angle storyline.
Yeah, I hope they do ignore that, because they were just picking away at that, and it was just less and less believable every single time.
But that match was a brief glimmer of hope in an otherwise terrible last 2 hours, because next up we had the payoff for that barbecue segment that was set up. It was the B team hosting a Memorial Day barbecue for the Ascension, Titus Worldwide, Breezango, Heath Slater and Rhino.
And the Revival.
And very depressingly,
the Revival.
The Revival.
Yeah. Who would be brilliant in the top of the tag division as we were talking about. I don't know why those guys...
Injuries, I think.
Yeah.
I think Vince... Because... Scott Dawson got injured first, and then Dash Wilder got in, or maybe it was the other way round. But they were out for like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Right after they debuted, and you can only get injured so many times before management seems to lose faith in you.
Yeah, but I just feel like their style at least sort of dictates that they look like they're quite safe in the fact that because they're ground and pound kind of guys, it's not overtly throwing yourself off everything all the time, is it? Like
and they're brilliant.
And they're amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
But yes, this was a absolutely terrible segment. It was nothing that was like offensively bad, like the Sisters segment from last week. It was just flat out unenjoyable. And what made it worse was because it was a comedy segment that the commentators would guffaw over it. They were constantly sniggering, and no one else was laughing.
I think they were just watching the background action. I don't know. Like I enjoyed. There was like one bit where two people, Scott Dawson, cheers the bologna sandwich with Titus, which I enjoyed. Just as it wasn't really part of the segment, but I just enjoyed that they did that in the background. I enjoyed Rhino not getting up and just eating the whole tray of sandwiches to himself when everyone else was fighting.
And Fandango was just seductively eating a bratwurst as well.
And also when it kicked off, someone was just pointing one, which is, Rousey loved, I assume.
There was stuff in here that could have made it good. I think this would have been perfectly suited to a backstage skit where you could kind of plan everything out and do the pacing better.
It should have just happened in the canteen, shouldn't it?
Yeah, much better. Or like, where would a stupid place be that the B team could... Oh my God, they hold it in Kurt Angle's office. And Kurt's like, guys, what are you doing? Get out, I told you this is not a thing. It's like, hey, Kurt, we've made you an Olympic sandwich or something. But they didn't do that.
Olympic sandwich.
A Bolympic sandwich.
Everything had to begin with a B in this segment.
Was it potato salad?
Potato
chips. It was, it just...
Nonsense.
Like... If you told me about this, the B team hosted a barbecue and they named all the they made sure all the food began with B, I'd been, it's pretty funny. But it wasn't. It just wasn't.
It's just regular barbecue food, and then they shoehorned bees onto things. I feel like they should have just done actual bee foods.
That was what offended you.
It should have been more, but because then you
buns.
Just buns, bananas, just things that aren't barbecue food.
Okay.
And then it gets more and more.
Yeah.
And you just don't.
We ran out of things.
I've run out of things after bananas.
I can now not think of any other food beginning with B.
What else is there? Bologna. They did that.
Baked potatoes, but that is kind of a barbecue
just
food.
Baking things.
Bacon.
Beef.
Burgers.
Beef and burgers.
Also,
they didn't have any burgers at their barbecue though. Is there any other food that begins?
I don't think there is. I think
that's it. I think
no one's going to have anything to add in the comments.
No, I think we've done a very thorough investigation of that.
That's all the foods. So this ended into a food fight, which I just found patronising as a viewer.
Yeah.
And the B team put Rhino through a table
for literally no reason.
Yeah.
But also because it wasn't like it descended into a food fight. Everyone was cross with the B team because they said...
Oh, yes, the point of the segment.
So they said they charmed everyone with their barbecue skills. And then they said, so is everyone cool with us having a shot at the tag team titles? And everyone went, oh, you can't cut the line. Blah, blah. So I said, you can't cut the line because there's no macaroni cheese.
And Heath said, this is a feast. What are you talking about?
Yes.
Which was quite funny. Because he's a redneck.
And then everyone just said, oh, you can't cut the line whatsoever, and then it descended into a food fight. But it wasn't a fight between, like, no one just attacked the B team. It should have been all of them attacking the B team, I feel. So they dunked beans on Bo, and then
it's a powder keg of tension, that tag division.
And then they put potato salad on Curtis, and then and then all hell broke loose because these are adults.
Yeah. And then Bo and Curtis went backstage afterwards, found Kurt, and said that he booked a tag team battle royal to crown the number one contenders. So B Team probably going to win that, I think.
You think?
Yeah. I think
I
that's
think,
what
I
this
think
is.
that's what the storyline is.
Which means the Revival are getting beaten. And then to cap off a fun 2 hours, we had the main event, which was a gauntlet match for a last chance or second chance of all the lady people who aren't in the Money in the Bank match.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we started off with Bayley.
Yep.
And Liv Morgan came out. And Bayley hit one move.
The belly to belly.
Yes, and that was enough to put Liv Morgan away.
Why doesn't she also do a Bayley to back suplex?
Continuing.
Why is she not running with this?
Yeah. Are there any other ones?
She could have so much more offense if she's doing non-impactful moves, but just adding the word Bayley in, and that somehow makes them great.
Bayley
Why doesn't
slash
she doesn't? Yeah.
Bayley
She also
headlock.
doesn't do She also doesn't, as a hugger. She doesn't do any sort of hugging-based submission.
Yeah, like a bear hug, a Bayley hug.
Yeah.
But I guess the belly to Bayley is kind of like a big hug, and then you just slam them down. It's a pretty unthreatening looking finisher.
It's a nonsense move.
And then Sarah Logan came out
And she looked good.
for all of a minute, and Bayley beat her with a quick roll up, and
Yeah.
that meant that Morgan and Logan could attack Bayley to soften her up for Ruby Riott, who came down.
Yeah, but then they soften her up for Ruby Riott, and they literally lay her out. And then we cut to the break, and we come back from the break, and the only people in the ring are Riott and Bayley, and they're just carrying on. Can you get DQ'd in the gauntlet match?
I don't know, actually.
Because I guess that's the only explanation, is if you can be DQ'd in the gauntlet match, then it makes sense that Liv and Logan left. But otherwise, why wouldn't you just stick around?
It's a good point.
Because this is where I thought I didn't mind Bayley quickly dispatching the two members of the Riott Squad, and then Ruby comes out, and then actually the numbers game starts to play against Bayley, and she loses to Ruby, who lands a Riott kick. And Dana comes out, and Ruby dispatches Dana, and Ruby dispatches Mickey eventually.
Who was super over and is a babyface now, by the way.
Yeah.
Just like Nia is a heel this week.
She's also doing Meteoras now. She wasn't doing those before. So she's
What,
dressed.
Sasha Banks'
Yeah,
knee
so she's
thing?
now dressed as Wonder Woman and doing Meteoras.
She's reprising the old Trish Stratus obsessed fan storyline from back in the day, maybe, but with
maybe.
Sasha.
Yeah, so then what I didn't understand about this was, again, to go back to the Riott Squad thing, is they don't really have anything that they're doing. It was like they beat down Bayley, but then the match just continues, and then Ruby wins against Bayley without any shenanigans, apart from the fact that Bayley obviously tired from beating two people and also getting a slight. But like, she wouldn't be that tired. She finished one in a move, and she rolled up another one in short shrift, and then she got a very minor beatdown. Then she gets Riott kicked, and then Ruby just looks strong against the next two people. And I just feel like you could have played more shenanigans here to make the end a bit more like...
Or book Sasha at the start. So you have Sasha and Bayley, and they have a longish match.
Yeah.
And then Sasha just wins that, and then she goes on to beat everyone else, and she ends up against Ruby. So you've got a really tired babyface having to overcome a fresh heel. That's what gauntlet matches are supposed to be.
Whose mates are also
Yes.
like at ringside because they've just been in the match.
All the odds are stacked against
Well, I just never understood like that. Why will they not pull the trigger on any kind of Bayley Sasha thing? Like, I don't mind what way you want to do it, but even in this match, they set it up at the beginning with the whole, her name's not on the contract, it's my name, money in the Bayley in the bank.
Bayley in the bank.
Bayley in the bank. And then, like...
Miss Bayley in the bank to you.
There's Miss Bayley in the bank. But yeah, so they just did all that, all this setup, and then they're not even the match together. And then there was no, like, Bayley doesn't come down and save her. Bayley doesn't come down and interfere and not help her. Like, you know...
There was even a bit when Liv Morgan got on the apron when Sasha Banks was facing Ruby. That could have been the perfect moment for Bayley to come down.
Yeah.
But it's almost a rib on us at this point, I think. Just like the Emelina coming soon thing became a joke on the viewers, that this whole Bayley Sasha Banks storyline is so past its sell-by date.
It's going to go anywhere.
Yeah. And this is not an example of... Did you hear Bayley's interview? She, poor thing, had to make the best of this situation. And someone asked her, you know, what's going on with this feud with Sasha Banks? And she was like, you know, like all the great long-term booked feuds, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Mega Powers over a year that one took to ignite.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
It's not this one.
No. So Sasha Banks won in the end. She did like a cheeky Nando's knee to the face.
Oh,
in this.
yeah, I loved that. That was great.
Yeah, that
and then
was
she
cool.
did that and then powerbombed her off, didn't she? And then
So
then
yeah,
locked in the bank statement, but then got interfered on for a bit.
interfered on. So usually Will Ospreay will do the cheeky Nando's by putting someone up on the top turnbuckle, their legs, and putting their head between their legs and then super kicking them. But Sasha did that with a knee.
Yeah.
That looked really
It
cool.
looked really good.
But then, yeah, Sasha taps out Ruby to the bank statement. Just a backwards booked psychology-wise with Sasha being a fresh face going against a tired heel.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. Do
Yes.
you think it's like she's wearing the tape? Was her arm taped up, or was that part of her gear? Can't really tell, because she sometimes wears the straps that go down, but she had like one shoulder looked a
The
bit more
black surgical
strappy.
tape, yeah,
So
not
maybe she's not very well.
Maybe, but then why put her in a ladder match in 3 weeks' time?
Well, maybe she'll be better by then, but maybe she has to
Hopefully.
rest it for this, and that's why she could only have like a 10-minute little stretch.
So it was I'd say a good first hour and a bit of Raw, and then the rest of it was really quite asinine. What about you? I gave it poor. I gave it 2 out of 5 overall.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think 2 was what I'd imagined it being. I only thought the Seth Rollins Jinder match was any good.
And no Roman Reigns.
No, I thought there was so much potential in it as well. There was so many good, there was actually good booking. Rude versus Owen should have been good. Drew versus Gable should have gone longer because it was quite good, and probably should have also had. Let's just get Jordan back in.
Yeah, Jordan return
would have. Let's just get him in the mix.
Yeah.
The Gauntlet match had all the potential to be good. Like anything with a whole team of heels in it. If you've got the whole stable in there, do something with it. And then you've also got the feud, and then you've got filler. You know, Dana Brooks, and then Mickie James is filler in this scenario, but
she was a hometown.
Also, she's a hometown girl, so you've got so much room for things to happen. But also because it was only a 20-minute match, whereas the men's Gauntlet was an hour.
Close to 2 hours, I think.
Was it 2 hours?
Because the first 2 matches was Seth Rollins.
Oh,
and
yes.
that was an hour. And overall it was just shy of 2. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have had them go 2 hours.
No, but they could have gone for like 40.
45 minutes at least,
exactly.
yeah. It's a real shame, especially like how Michael Cole built it up through the night as one of the most exciting stipulations in WWE. And, well, it was, because he did a very good job of building it up as such with the previous match. But here it was. And there was a really good Gauntlet match last summer, which Sasha Banks won, beating Nia Jax at the end. But yeah, this was a bad episode of Raw by the end. But yes, please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk stuff, and subscribe to this channel and the little podcast version here. I'm Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.